Carl Jackson Show podcast. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, we got a lot of news that I want to break to you. The number one issue that we're going to be talking about today is how the Gutless GOP have absolutely failed to save the nation by impeaching DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and I'll get into the details of that. This border issue is the most important issue, not just for voters, but in general. We all know the cliche, you have no border, you don't have a country. And it really is as simple as that. And it is striking, it is stunning that the GOP could not get together to make sure they kicked Alejandro Mayorkas out on his rear end. But a lot that I want to get to. Obviously, Nikki Haley loses again in the Nevada primary. Now, you guys may remember that with the Nevada primary, Nevada also has a caucus, but she lost badly in the primary. We'll get to that. I want to get to this skank mother, OnlyFans mother in Florida, in Tavares, Florida, whose children were expelled from a private Christian school because she refused to take her OnlyFans sign off of her vehicle. I know some of you might be saying free speech. Guys, let's talk about that. Also, the mother of a Michigan shooter is convicted on manslaughter. I won't be able to get into details and specificity on that case, but I want to make sure that I mention it, however, because I am absolutely torn on it. The GOP again failed to impeach Mayorkas. Ronna McDaniel is going to be stepping down as the RNC chair. A lot of people trying to take credit for it, but we have to credit Jennifer Van Laar of redstate.com for breaking some of the expenses and the funding, the way that the RNC was spending money on flowers rather than on get out the vote efforts. So kudos to Jennifer Van Laar of redstate.com. You had Ronna McDaniel had a sit down with Trump a couple of days ago, and he didn't seem quite as firm, but as he went out and did a couple of interviews, he hinted that it was time for Ronna McDaniel to go, and apparently she got the message. Tucker Carlson is interviewing Vladimir Putin, or is going to interview Vladimir Putin. We'll hear from him. Also, Trump's immunity defeat in the D.C. case with Jack Smith isn't the setback that most people seen. So we got a lot to get to, so let's get to it quickly. Gabe, if you'll get that video of the skank mom in Florida up and ready to go, we'll talk about what happened to Nikki Haley. That was quite embarrassing, and I'm sure you guys have heard the news by now, because I know that people that listen to this show more than likely listen to others, and you guys tend to be well informed in the first place. All right, so here's the deal. Nikki Haley lost the Nevada primary. Now, again, if you listened to my show yesterday or the other day, I can't remember which, I told you Nevada has a weird system because Republicans went to court to try to end the primary system and go to a caucus system. They failed at court, but ironically, the judge granted them the ability to be able to have a primary and caucus. So the GOP no longer, they have a primary, but they also have a caucus. They don't give any delegates to the primary winner. Only the caucus winner. It's the craziest system. They need to figure out which way they want to go. But nonetheless, Nikki Haley wasn't in the state. She wasn't doing much campaigning there. She's been focusing on her own state in South Carolina, hoping that she either wins or doesn't lose as badly as at least the polls are predicting right now. I believe she's down over 25 points in the polls in South Carolina right now, if you believe the polls. And at least as we get closer to the races, those polls have seemingly proven to be pretty accurate. All right, as much as I did not believe them because of all of these whacked out methods they were using. But anyway, Nikki Haley apparently lost to a candidate by the name of none of these candidates. Lost to a candidate by the name of none of these candidates. In other words, a bunch of Trump supporters, I guess, just wrote none of these candidates on the ballot or whatever. And so Nikki Haley lost by 30 points to a candidate that doesn't exist, or a candidate that has a weird name or that goes by the name of none of these candidates. So a very disappointing turnout for Nikki Haley. And again, this is a delegate race. And in South Carolina, I believe it's February 24th, if I'm not mistaken, the date of the primary. Oh, and actually, it looks, according to the Real Clear Politics average, it looks like Trump has stretched out his lead in North Carolina up over 30 points over Nikki Haley at this point. So she seems to be going in the wrong direction, but we'll have to see what happens in South Carolina. But nonetheless, a embarrassing defeat in Nevada by Nikki Haley. Now, I want to move to this story real quick. And this has been an ongoing story in the state of Florida, and it's made national news where an OnlyFans mom or a married couple, they have an OnlyFans account, and basically their kids go to a Christian school, or they were going to a Christian school until they were expelled the other day because the mother refused to take the signage off of her vehicle that promotes her OnlyFans account. Now, she sleeps with her husband. They don't bring other people in. But I'm going to tell you why I think the school is absolutely in the right to sadly expel the kids. I feel so bad for the kids. I'll get into that. And why I think this mother is a dit and a horrible mother. And I hate to talk about anyone's mother that way, because one day these kids are going to grow up and they're going to hear all of the nasty things that were said about their mom and their parents. By the way, I think their dad is feckless to allow this to keep going as well. But anyway, let's go ahead and roll this video. This is what is the name of this? What is the name of this lady? It's like she goes by a name on OnlyFans that I don't want to use. I want to make sure that I have her correct name. Her correct name is Michelle Klein. All right, so let's go ahead and roll the video here, Gabe. This is an interview with Local 10 News, I believe in Tavares, Florida, of Michelle Klein, the mother of the children that have been expelled from their Christian school because she refused to take the signage off of her car promoting her OnlyFans account. She and her husband's OnlyFans account.
A Florida mom at odds with other parents over a controversial decal on her car.
She says there's nothing illegal about advertising her OnlyFans account, but it's causing a stir at her kid's private Christian school. Janice has the story from the newsroom.
This is what I am looking at when I pull up behind one of these vehicles.
Facebook messages, complaints, and TikToks.
You ban a vehicle.
Taking the front row pew at a private Christian school.
Not just a tiny, tiny little emblem on the back of a car. It is taking up the entire windshield, back windshield of two vehicles.
Lexi Thomas is a parent at Liberty Christian who wants this ad on another parent's car to stay off campus. That other parent is Michelle Klein, and what she has is an OnlyFans.
Well, it's definitely linked to, explicit content, adult content for sure.
Klein, who goes by Piper Fawn, says OnlyFans is her business and way of life.
My husband and I have this, little wild, behind closed doors lifestyle that we've now decided to share.
But not all parents want what Klein is sharing. Shared at school, with some moms complaining to Klein and the school, telling her not to use the main entrance and instead drop her kids off across the street.
I was forced to have to, take it off or not come on campus.
But parents at this private school say there's a simple solution if Klein wants to use the main drop-off.
Why not take the decal off?
And that would seem like an easy thing to say, for sure. But for me, it supports my family. This provides a very comfortable way of life for us. And it's legal. I pay taxes just like everyone else. But I'm not breaking the law. I just offended people.
That's a distraction to my children. And no matter how poorly or how good I parent, porn is there. And if that's kind of the first thing they're seeing when they're going into a place that should be educating them.
Klein says she wants the school, at the very least, to provide someone to help her kids get across the street safely.
No, you don't get special privileges. This lady, I'm sorry, man. I'm so disgusted with this story. At first, I wasn't. I'll be honest with you. I kind of ignored the story, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of these little hits on Christianity. I'm tired of everyone else telling Christians that they need to bow down to other worldviews instead of their own. This lady took her kids to a private, listen to me, to a private Christian school. What the heck? I was going to say HE double hockey sticks, Gabe, but I caught myself. What the heck did she expect? Did you know that when you go to a private school, let alone a private Christian school, you as a parent and as students have to sign a contract based upon your code of conduct, how you're going to behave, how you're going to dress, so on, etc. Did you know that? Did they share that? Did the news share that? Did this mother, Michelle Klein, share that? It is a private school. They can do whatever the heck they want to do at that school. And guys, they want to teach biblical values. So what they don't want to see on their campus is a hussy coming onto their campus promoting her porn site. These are what this lady wants you to be sympathetic to. We're not doing anything illegal. No, you're not doing anything illegal, but you signed a contract. I guarantee you're telling me you didn't know your children's school worldview before you decided to promote your porn site on their campus? You didn't sign a contract? Are you freaking kidding me? That school is so that people will be taught not only reading, writing, or arithmetics, but they'll be taught history and biblical values, everything from a biblical point of view. You didn't know that when you signed them up and paid to take them to that school. Give me a freaking break. Oh, well, it's not illegal. No, it's not illegal. All right. But based upon the school you took them to, it is immoral. This is insane, man. I'm so tired of these nonsensical, non-thinking parents that are these lefties, if you will. And I would say, she may be a Republican. Doesn't mean she's not a ditz. But trying to force their worldview onto others. Everybody has free speech, unless you're a Christian, right? Unless you're a Jew. Everybody else has free speech. Isn't it amazing how that works? It's a freaking Christian school. Oh, we're not doing anything wrong. Oh, you're the arbiter of objective truth? If you're the arbiter of objective truth, why the hell did you take your... see, I said it, Gabe. Why did you take your kids to a Christian school? Why do you want them to learn biblical worldview when you're living the opposite out in full blast? Listen, everybody sins. Everybody messes up. Everyone falls short of the glory of God, but you're sitting out there promoting it. And this drives me crazy. And there was another interview that I heard where I heard her say, oh, here it is. Actually, I have the quote in front of me. She says, I don't think it's right. People are going to be offended by all sorts of things, different bumper stickers, whatever. But at the end of the day, this is something that supports my family. What bumper stickers on the school campus, on the private Christian school campus? You see how these people try to conflate stuff to justify their own misgivings? Another thing she said, it's only me and my husband. No one else is brought in, male or female. We always were in the cameras in our bedroom. So we said, hey, let's make some money off of this. That is so dumb of a statement. What do you mean? You have an OnlyFans account. Of course there are other men and women in your bedroom. No, they're not there physically, but they're sitting there watching you. And I feel so sorry for your kids because your kids are going to have to go to school knowing their mother is a hussy and that their dad is a freaking wimp. The dad should be saying, all right, we're going to do this side hustle. What we're not going to do, we're taking our kids to a Christian school. We want them to grow up with a biblical worldview. What we're not going to do is embarrass our kids. We don't want our kids' friends clicking on our website and seeing their parents having sex and doing all types of things. I don't want my kids' friends seeing their mother perform sex acts with their dad. How about that? How about respecting your kids enough to take the freaking sign off? I'm so sick and tired of this, man. I feel so bad for those kids. I don't want to call their mother names, but their mother's a dope. And let's just be completely real about it. Free speech. We're not hurting anybody. Illegal. You should have thought of that before you took your kids to a Christian private school. They get to make the rules, lady, and they shouldn't provide anybody to walk your kids across the street. How about you step up to the plate, be a freaking mom first instead of a porn star, and take the signage off? What's wrong with you getting a magnet sign? You can't just get a magnet sign and put the sign on when you leave the campus? For God's sakes, man, people drive me nuts. Anyway, enough of that. Done with that. But I just wanted to sound off on that. All right, so Ronna McDaniel is stepping down as the GOP, as the RNC chair. A little bit too late, in my opinion, but better late than never, I suppose. The story was originally Jennifer Van Laar, because a lot of people, people try to come out and take credit for stuff. I like to give credit where credit is due. And Jennifer Van Laar, she came out and basically exposed RNC chair and their spending and their priority spending, if you will. Let me see if I can find her online real quick on X. But she did a detailed report on the spending habits of the RNC compared to the DNC, and there were rumblings inside of there was apparently an RNC winter meeting, and there were rumblings that Ronna McDaniel had heard the news or read the column, or someone around in her circle had read the column of Jennifer Van Laar outlining this stuff, and they wanted to be hushed, basically, but no such luck. The word was getting out. Trump had a meeting with Ronna McDaniel, I believe earlier this week, and basically he's done a couple of interviews, actually maybe last week. He's done a couple of interviews, I believe one on Sunday, another on Monday, where he kind of hinted at her leaving and how she had done a good job in 2016. You know what I'm saying? Helping him to win in Michigan. But he was basically, and I'm paraphrasing, she's done okay since, is what he said. Now, so thank God she's moving on. Now, frankly, we got to be real here. It was President Trump that endorsed her. And I believe that we would have had better success had he endorsed Harmeet Dillon over Ronna McDaniel in 2022. But that's neither here nor there. We cannot afford a loss in 2024. We see how far this country has slipped already. And so that would not be a good thing. And the rumor is there's a gentleman in North Carolina that runs the North Carolina Republican Party that is a big time MAGA guy. He's a stop the steal guy. Apparently he does well on the ground as well in North Carolina, helping the GOP. So it looks like this guy, and forgive me, I should have had his name ready to go. I may have it in, but it looks like this guy will be the guy, although not confirmed, but likely will be the guy that Trump, let's see if I can find it. That Trump, here's a story from Jennifer Van Laar of redstate.com. Trump's 2+ hour Mar-a-Lago meeting with Ronna McDaniel about the future of the RNC. And that's what set it off. When did she write this? She wrote this on February 6th, but there were columns that she wrote leading up to this. And basically it's leading to her ouster. I'm trying to find the name of the gentleman from North Carolina for you real quickly here as I scroll through my phone, but I don't see it in this particular column from Jennifer Van Laar. But anyway, it is a gentleman from North Carolina, and so anyway, all right, Ronna is now head of the RNC, and I'll be making the decision the day after the South Carolina primary. All right, so the decision will come after the South Carolina primary. Actually, the decision has come. She's stepping down. That's what Trump initially said, but she got the hint. All right, so now moving on from that, before we get to our big story, here's let me just read this real quick. Trump's immunity. This is from CNN. I cannot watch CNN, but believe it or not, sometimes some of their columns are decent. Did I erase it? Oh my goodness. Okay, so basically, I think I deleted the column off of my phone. Anyway, I'll give you the gist of it. All right, so this immunity setback for Trump, where he's not going to be granted immunity in the Jack Smith case, the DC case, the Mar-a-Lago case. Basically, it's the Circuit Court of Appeals in DC. They looked over they considered the arguments for Trump's defense team for 28 days. Apparently, they could have rushed this decision for whatever reason. They opted not to. I don't know why, but here's the benefit. The benefit is this doesn't necessarily hurt Trump. In this sense, it is more likely now that this case will not be expedited, and even more likely now that it won't be heard until after the general election. So it will not have, looks like the impact on the general election that the left, particularly Jack Smith and the Biden DOJ, were hoping for. So that is a silver lining in a corrupt DC swamp type system. So the immunity defeat for Trump isn't necessarily the defeat that they had hoped for. So that's it in a nutshell. Now, I want to cover this Tucker Carlson interview real quick. He's going to have an interview, or has had an interview with Vladimir Putin. I'm not sure which. Apparently, he's going around Moscow, having a bit of a good time or what have you. But I wanted to respond to this before I get to the Gutless GOP that just allowed a border invasion to continue going on under the leadership of DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Don't let anyone tell you that the GOP, besides this particular failure, is it fought for the border crisis. Biden runs the White House, he runs the executive branch, and the Democrats are in control of the Senate. All right, so Biden, if he wanted to, he could re-implement Trump's orders right now, today, right this minute. Remain in Mexico. He could come out and give a speech. Anybody that crosses this border illegally will be detained and deported. He could do that, and it would stop the crossings instantaneously. People would hear this message from across the world, from around the world, and say, we're not taking the risk. But no, that's not what we're hearing. But he could change this in a second. Now, moving on, I'll get back to that, but let me get to this issue with Tucker Carlson. And I know a lot of people, listen, Vladimir Putin, let me just be really clear with this. Vladimir Putin is an evil guy. He is a propagandist. We know that. But the goal of a journalist, or the job of a journalist, and Tucker Carlson is trying to build up his own network now, is to go and seek the truth, to ask the tough questions that no one else is asking. I assume, and I hope, that that's what Tucker Carlson is going to Moscow to do with Vladimir Putin. He wants to give you two sides of the story. He's apparently asked for an interview with Zelensky. So far, that hasn't come to fruition. He's asked for an interview with Vladimir Putin. Apparently, that has. So now, we all know that Vladimir Putin is KGB. We all know that he's evil. But what's the story? What's his reasoning? Will he lie? I don't know. But I think a journalist has an obligation, and we should ask the questions. So here's Tucker Carlson without any further ado.
Specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview. but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself.
All right,
Thanks.
so I listen. I think that's a good explanation. The video was probably a minute and a half to 2 minutes longer. We cut it down to size, but that was the most important part of the video. And I think he's absolutely right. Listen, as Americans, we're sending a buttload of money to Ukraine. We should understand what's going on in the region. We should know what's going on. We should hear both sides of the story. There should be absolute transparency. Again, I'm under no illusions that Vladimir Putin is a good guy at all. I believe he's KGB. I believe he's a propagandist. But at the same time, I want to hear from him. And I think Tucker Carlson is right. Listen, we're spending American dollars or sending American dollars to Ukraine and Vladimir Zelensky. Now, I feel differently about Vladimir Zelensky than others do. I do believe, listen, that country is corrupt. He's done a lot of bad things. There's no doubt about it. He has not been the best leader. But I look at when this war started, or the invasion of Ukraine by Russia initially. And if you recall, going back and watching the very first interviews of Vladimir Zelensky, when he was trying to pretend like the invasion wasn't going to be happening, like it wasn't inevitable, the guy looked dead already. He was so pale and so scared, it was absolutely insane. I think the Biden administration and frankly NATO expected the guy to be dead relatively quickly. Putin wasn't able to pull that off, and I think at some point Vladimir Zelensky, now this is just totally my opinion, said, you know what? If you guys are going to use me, and I know that you guys are corrupt as all get out too, then I'm going to use you. I'm going to stay alive, and I'm going to use you, and I'm going to enjoy life the best that I can in this weird, crazy behind scenario. So there's no doubt there's corruption like nobody's business in Ukraine. There's corruption like nobody's business in Russia. All right, both of these regions of the world are pros when it comes to propaganda. Obviously, we are too, to some extent, but I agree with Tucker Carlson. The interview of Vladimir Putin should be had. I'll watch, and I'm not going to, hopefully Tucker Carlson won't go in there with a certain bias. He says he isn't. He wants some answers. Vladimir Putin may lie. He may be truthful. I don't know. But nonetheless, this war has continued to drag on. American money continues to be sent. There was a standalone bill the other day to send Israel some money in defense, and the Democrats shot that down because they want open borders and they want more money for Ukraine. We should know what's going on. It's as simple as that. Kudos to Tucker Carlson, and frankly, kudos to Elon Musk. I go back and forth with Elon Musk, but I don't think any of us can deny that Elon Musk has been a major source of saving, or at least conserving, what's left of free speech in America, all right, with his X platform. Okay, now, the story at hand, let's close out with this. So, the gutless House Republicans have failed to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas, the guy that is continuing to allow this border invasion to continue simply because Democrats want more bodies so that they can have more voters, a perpetual underclass of American citizens voting for the Democrat Party. I do believe that this is overwhelming the system. I do believe that there are some that are interested in a Cloward-Piven strategy to overwhelm the system and permanently turn the United States into a one-party system. But there's also those that, like Representative Yvette Clarke, that just want immediate gratification, and that is, listen, if I get more bodies in my district, or we get more bodies in New York, and that means that we get more representation in the United States Congress. That means more representatives, and they've been very clear. Jerry Nadler, the same thing. A representative from New York as well. They want more bodies, but there's no doubt in my mind that the people of the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, these type of people, these are globalists, and they want to bring America down to size. It isn't, it is about power, but it's about a global type power. So anyway, That's where we stand with these borders. So here's what happened just yesterday. So House Republicans failed to get enough votes to support impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over the border crisis. Hat tip to Daily Wire for this. That's fraught with right now surging illegal crossings and fentanyl poisonings fueled by drug trafficking, fueled by the cartels. It's absolutely insane. 100,000 Americans dying per year. And I'm getting mad just thinking about it. 100,000 Americans dying per year due to fentanyl overdoses. You have blue cities that have been run amok. I mean, they don't even have the problem that Texas has. They're just getting a fraction of what Texas sees, all the time. So Chicago, New York City, in all of these places, they're experiencing just a fraction, just a taste of what Texas endures every single day, and they are crumbling, as a result of it. I mean, the drain on our resources, on our education, on our hospital systems, on sanitary, city workers, so on, etc. Crime on our law enforcement units. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And so the fact that Republicans couldn't come together to impeach this guy, and yes, I want him impeached. Many of you are sitting there asking, well, Carl, if he's impeached, they're just going to bring in another guy. Guys, I believe that too. I believe that too until I read through the summation of the border bill. This guy, Alejandro Mayorkas, is a skilled attorney who has worked in other bureaucratic agencies for the federal government. He knows the loopholes. He knows how to get around the law. And that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, all you have to know is that when it comes to catch and release, instead of detaining and deporting people, and then let's say they come back into the country and escape, we catch them, law enforcement, ICE, whomever catches them. There's no matter. It's not catch and release per se. It's just catch and let live. I mean, or release and let live. I mean, these illegal aliens can now come into the interior. They'll be released into the interior of the United States of America, and there's not a doggone thing we can do about it. That is what this guy, Alejandro Mayorkas, is doing. And so the fact that Republicans couldn't come together, thanks to the GOP that broke ranks, all right, there hasn't been a cabinet secretary that has been impeached since 1876. We should have made history yesterday. But thanks to these rhinos, you have Representative Kim Buck, Republican from Colorado. That guy is a straight up Democrat. He has to go. I don't know if listen, guys, if you're going to act like a Democrat anyway, I'd rather have a Democrat. I'd rather have somebody to run against. Not some Republican pretending to be a conservative, pretending to be all high and mighty. No, screw you since you're screwing the country, all right? You got Tom McClintock, a Republican from California. You got Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin. All of them voted against the bill. The final tally ended up being 214 to 216. They needed just one more vote. All right. House GOP Vice Chairman Blake Moore, he's a Republican from Utah. He flipped to a no vote at the last moment. So members said Moore changed his vote to break a tie, and that would give Republicans another chance to bring up the impeachment resolution in the future. So Majority Leader Steve Scalise has been out because he's been getting cancer treatments. And so that was, if he was there, Alejandro would have been impeached. But they will get another crack at the apple. But here's the disappointing thing. You guys remember Representative George Santos? There's a special election in New York City next week to replace his chair. Man, it would have been nice if he would have just stayed around for this vote. Wouldn't it have? Now we have to continue to endure. There's no telling how many more illegal aliens are going to be allowed into this country thanks to Representative Ken Buck. Somebody please primary him in Colorado. Tom McClintock, please primary him in California. Mike Gallagher, please primary him in Wisconsin. This is insane. It almost makes you think that there's some Republicans that actually really want this border crisis too. And the truth is, we know there are. Who's paying these guys off? What are they doing the bidding? I mean, whose bidding are they doing? These gutless... Listen, Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama fundamentally transformed America for the worst. For the worst. But you have to give them credit. These people actually believe what they say. They are communists and they believe what they say. Their word means something. Republicans are getting up. I mean, you are destroying your credibility. You are destroying your reputation. You're hoping for a landslide in 2024, but I'm telling you, you're going to discourage voters if you fail to act. Don't sit there and wait for Trump, hoping he'll be elected. Act right now. You take this vote up the second Scalise gets back in. And you know what? You should, I'm sorry, it's time to strong arm. The country is at stake. You get these other fools and you introduce them to the people you're going to help pay, that are going to primary them. You introduce them to them. Tell them how much money you're going to give them to destroy their freaking campaign. So tired of these weak, freaking gutless Republicans that are, I'm just tired of it, man. They're just as bad as the left, some of them. Woo! All right, guys, enough for today. I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, I forgot. Listen, Mike Lindell, MyPillow.com, promo code Carl. Go to the radio podcast square at the top of the page. Enter my name, Carl, the C-A-R-L, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. Again, that number, 800-858-0263, MyPillow.com. Whatever deal is available, and there are a gang of them available, some over 50% off. They will be available to you. So if you check the site, mypillow.com, you see a product that you were going to go to Target or Walmart or some place to buy anyway, why not just go to mypillow.com? American jobs, American manufacturing, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. You cannot beat that with a bat, all right? So mypillow.com, get all the deals that are available to you now by using my name, Carl, C-A-R-L. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show. Until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you.